and we're at the speed down to 2,500.
Give point wherever you reduce speed to 180.
BlackBox.
All right, so I'm here today with a great friend of mine that I met a few years ago in a grocery store.
Grocery store, yes.
In a grocery store. My good friend, Vell Baker.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for
Is there
coming
like
on.
a fake applause thing that goes off now?
There is a fake applause.
Okay.
It's not fake, man.
Okay, it's real.
We yeah. Is it not working today?
That's okay. There it is.
Vell Baker, the one, the only,
Nah,
the fabulous.
I appreciate it.
There
Thank
might
you.
be more Trevells in the world.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that. Not that many. I've actually kind of searched that.
Well,
my name is pretty rare.
yeah.
Trevel is pretty
And then
rare.
you go by Vell, so it throws people off.
Yeah. It's weird because like people will get on me because I'll go by my first name, Emmanuel, and I'll go by Trevel sometimes.
See, I just learned something today.
And then I'll go by Vell.
I didn't even
and
know
they'll
your
be like,
first name was Emmanuel.
Yeah, they'll be like, which person are you? And I have like this thing where it's informal situations, I'll go by Emmanuel. And then informal, we'll get into like Trevel, and friends, I'll get into like Vell.
So are
It's weird.
your church friends like Emmanuel? Do they get
It
spiritual
depends.
with you?
No, church friends are more, they're Trevel. It just depends
Yeah.
on like
In the
which church I'm
barber shop, it's Vell,
Yeah, in
right?
the barbershop,
Everybody
I'm
calls
Vell.
you Vell.
Yeah, Vell or Trevel. Mostly Vell.
Are there alter egos and personalities that go along with those different names? Like, you know how Beyonce has, what is it? What's her alter ego?
Sasha Fierce.
Sasha Fierce, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I think there is. I think there's times when I'm Emmanuel, and I think there's times when I'm Trevel. Yeah.
Who do we want to see most often?
We want to see.
It's deep, man.
That's
It's
deep.
Early morning question.
That's an early morning question.
But something to ponder.
That is something to ponder. I think we want to see. I think we want to see.
You're really thinking about this.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it
You are
because
thinking about this hard.
yeah, because my grandmother named me Emmanuel, and then here's another nickname which is Man. So there's a side of my family they call me Man. You know, other side, my mother's side they call me Trevel. Then I have Emmanuel, and then Man, and you know, it's all these names. But I think you want to see Trevel. Trevel is the combination of like Emmanuel and Vell and Man and all these nicknames put together.
Yeah.
I think it's Trevel, and
Trevel.
and Vell is the loose,
Yeah.
but Trevel is the person. I would say.
Yeah. Well, you're a well-loved guy, at least from the people I know. I know everybody in the world.
appreciate it.
If you don't have an enemy somewhere, something's wrong. But
I'm sure I do. That's funny. When I've had that occurrence lately, like when somebody will come to me like, "Oh man, you have a hater type thing." I'm like, "Wow, like I really do."
yeah.
I try to keep people, treat people as best as I can, and to know that, and it's usually somebody that doesn't even like know you. Be like, "Oh, somebody was
Yeah.
talking bad." I was like, "I don't even do that. What do you mean?"
Well, we were just talking off camera. We'll get deeper into this conversation today. But,
Sure.
I don't have people that love me everywhere.
Sure.
And there are people that I have like a mixed bag of emotion with, where we can go hang out, have a great conversation, get along well, but our politics,
Yeah.
man, if you get us on politics,
Yeah.
we're ready to choke each other out, right?
Yeah.
So it's just learning to have that balance and knowing when that other
Yes.
personality
Yeah.
is creeping up,
That's
and how to manage it.
Yeah, that's what I've loved about the barbershop. It teaches you how to move
Yeah.
in different settings with different people.
Well, hair's like personality, man.
Hair is like personality.
Everybody's got a little different setup there, right?
And after a few minutes, you get the real person,
Yeah.
when they're in that chair.
You know what's
And-
crazy on the haircut side? And by the way, Vell is a fabulous stylist,
Thank you.
barber. What do you call yourself?
I've moved to stylist.
Okay. And you do some pretty big events,
Yeah.
like
I do.
pretty big name events. We'll talk about that today. Give a little shout out there.
Sure.
But Vell's Barbershop is KingCuts in Virginia Beach, Virginia, off of General Booth Boulevard.
Yes.
And we're going to tell you a story today about how Vell and I met.
Yes.
That goes into this thing, race. You know.
Yeah.
Just, you know, if you can't tell, I'm a little darker than Vell.
You can't.
Right, I got a better tan than he does.
But that ashy thing
With
we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we have something in common there. I
We
get
have something
ashy.
in common. I get ashy, brother.
And I get road rash too really bad. Do black people get road rash?
And black people do get road rash, brother.
So careful if you ride a
Careful.
one wheel.
Yeah, careful, man.
But I don't know where I was going with that other than throwing that little shout out to KingCuts.
I appreciate
and
that.
you and the crew.
Great crew, man.
Yeah, you've got a great people. And a lot of times, you're so busy that if I wait around to, try to get an appointment with you, and this is a good problem to have, but I know you'd make space and make time for me to come sit in your chair.
Absolutely.
But usually I'm on the go and got a lot of things going on.
I'm actually upset when you pay. So.
I did come on, man.
But that's another story.
But Kim usually cuts my hair.
Yes.
But Kim, I got to tell you, who's the dude that sits closest to you?
Victor.
Victor.
Yeah.
Victor cut my hair last time.
Yeah.
Shout out to Victor.
Yeah, Victor.
He did a great job,
Yeah,
and I said, tell Kim
Yeah.
she shouldn't have taken a day off.
Vic's a seasoned barber also. I think I said stylist earlier, but
Yeah.
I am a barber to the core, to the heart. But I love the industry as a whole, and from industry side, we're starting to see like this fusion type of stylist where they do both. Like in my shop, you have Yolanda that does both, Sarah that does both, Kim does both also.
Yeah.
I do both. Victor, not quite, but he's learning. So we have a staff that can, they do it both. They're like hair mutants.
And what's interesting too, and we're going to get to this in a second, something that we do on the podcast is we salute our military.
Yes.
At the beginning of every podcast.
Yes.
You do a great job with our military folks.
If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in business.
And they come in, man, they love coming to your shop.
Man, they do.
You do a great job, and it's not like going to an exchange and getting the rat race,
I love it, man, because, my motto is great people, great product. And then the rest will just fall in line. So if you're a people person first, that's what I push in the shop when it comes to the people that work there. And then, then the product comes.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah. Do well by doing good, right?
Do well by doing good, yeah.
So let's do something good.
Absolutely.
Let's salute our military.
Yes.
Our veterans.
Yes.
Our active duty folks.
Yes.
We got a big contingency of Navy folks in town.
Yes,
and I'm a
huge.
prior Marine.
Yeah.
My youngest son's in the Army. My oldest son's in the Coast Guard.
Yes.
So it's near and dear to my heart for a lot of reasons. But even if that wasn't the case,
Yes.
man, our men and women in uniform, special salute to them.
Yeah.
So,
Special salute. Thank you so much.
little Johnny Walker. And we're trying to get Johnny.
Johnny to come?
Send us a little bottle every now and again.
They should.
So, yeah, they should, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
All right, come on.
Let's step up, Johnny
Let's
Walker.
go. That's right. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
That's good early morning, isn't it?
That is great.
Blue Label, Johnny
Did you say
Walker.
morning? This isn't morning.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, yeah.
But that just makes
That's
the rest
beautiful.
of the podcast good.
Yes, it's great.
It's very cool. So thanks for taking a toast with me, and
Thank you.
salute to our nation's finest.
Yeah, man.
And it's not just them; it's their families
Their
too.
families, man.
Going
Because
to
I
the
hear it and I see it. That's easily 85% of my business is
Is it really?
yeah, or the military or someone connected to the military. So I hold the military in all the branches, dear, to my heart because of
And
the
there are
support
people
that I
like
get.
you and I. I mean, they come from all walks of life. They could be, people in the Midwest, flyover states like where Noah's from.
I remember there was a client that came in, and I asked him, what he did. He was in the military. I remember him looking at me. He said, you sleep good at night, right? I'm like, yeah. He was like, that's what I do. Like,
Wow.
I make sure you
That's
sleep
pretty
good.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was that was another one of those moments when my
Yeah.
like respect level of what they do just went up. And he didn't say it in a disrespectful way. You know, he was just being truly honest. He said he really couldn't say what he did, but he was proud about that.
Yeah.
And man, that touched me.
So I've got a few clients in that spec war world, and I had a little taste of it in what's called a tier 2 way in the Marine Corps, and there's some truth to that because I had a friend who's combat hard, and he told me a story once about how they would deal with the Taliban.
Yeah.
And they got real up close and personal that, they would go visit these folks at night when they were sleeping.
Yeah.
And these dudes caught on that, hey, these special forces guys like to do things under the cover of darkness.
Yeah.
And so what the men of the house started doing was sleeping on top of their huts or their houses.
Really?
And they have a lot of flat top houses in Afghanistan. And so what these guys had to learn to do is that instead of going in and, guns a-blazing, even with suppressors, there's flashes going off, there's dogs barking. So it had to go more hand-to-hand with axes.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and there was this thing called canoeing.
Okay.
So if you can imagine an axe hitting your head,
Yeah, canoes.
it fillets. And that's what they had to get to because the guys got smart on the other end. And if they heard gunfire going off in one area, the other dudes were prepared.
Wow.
So they had to get even more barbaric. Wow. And that sticks, right? I mean,
Yes.
you're a hardened warrior. You can do that. You can take a man's life,
Yes.
take a woman's life,
Yes.
maybe a child who's a combatant.
Yes.
But those folks are doing things that will stick with them forever.
Yes.
And it's under the guise of mission and protecting the homeland, protecting our way of life.
Right.
And what it's always taken me back to, Vell, is simply this. We live in the best country
Period.
in the world.
Period.
We got problems with race. We got problems with,
Sure.
cops doing stupid things.
Sure.
We've got problems with citizens doing stupid things
Sure.
that cause cops to do stupid things.
Sure.
And lots of problems from politics to religion.
Sure.
But when you peel the onion back,
Yes.
can you think of a place on this planet where you'd rather be
No.
than the United States of America?
No. There's plenty of places where you can exercise your freedom of speech without.
Yeah. We can do this today, and we can get
do
on here
this.
and just rap
Yeah.
and let it go.
I mean, you can get up and say, "Oh, like, I hate my governor, I hate the president, or
Right.
whatever." You couldn't do that in a country. That's like,
Yeah.
in some countries, that would cost you. You can't talk against the government.
Right. Well, like our governor, Governor Northam,
Yes.
I don't agree with all his politics.
Sure.
But he was my daughter's neurologist.
Wow. Yeah, he is a
And
neurologist.
I have a disabled daughter. And, so he was her neurologist for 10 years before he got into politics.
Yes.
And even though I don't agree with his politics, he's a good human being.
You know the man. Yes.
But, there are things that he has governed by that drive me freaking batty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the thing being is that we have to figure out how to get along.
Yes.
And this takes me back to a few years ago
How we met.
How we met.
Yes.
So we were in a Harris Teeter in Virginia Beach.
Yes.
Shout out to Harris Teeter.
Yeah, Harris Teeter,
We're
yes.
going to slam you, but we're going to say you're still a good grocery store.
Yeah.
But we were in line at the store, and you were actually in front of me.
Yes.
And the kid looked at me, and I think I had more stuff than you did.
Yeah.
And the guy called me
He
up.
called you up. Yeah.
And I went, no, he's in front of me.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah.
And the kid looked at me and looked at you kind of like, well, no, I want you, Kenny, to go through the line. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
This dude was waiting. It's his turn.
Yeah.
And, I think that made an impression on you.
Yeah.
It certainly made an impression because it was an awkward moment.
It was awkward.
It was like, and I didn't want it to be awkward.
Right.
But I didn't want it to be awkward for you either.
Right.
Where I'm like, it didn't have anything to do with color for me. It didn't have anything to do with race for me.
Yeah.
But it was kind of one of those moments where I was like, this feels kind of racial.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
And I hate the word racist, by the way.
Yeah.
Because if everybody's being honest, we all have prejudice.
Absolutely.
I have prejudice towards other white people.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about color for me. It's about attitude, and attitude sets altitude, right?
Absolutely.
So, and you and I have had a lot of deep conversations at that level. But you're just a good, solid human being.
Yeah, and I think what got you was, when I said, "Oh, I don't care, he can go."
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
But it really wasn't, but it was.
It wasn't that big of a deal, but it was. And in my mind, I knew it was. See, there's a few things that I try to carry. You know, my grandfather, he always told me, like, you know how old people have quotes, but he's like, you know, man, you never know who's watching you. So, you know, he didn't mean it in a negative way. He meant it as one of those quotes where it's like, always try to be on point as much as you can at any time. And I had on my KingCuts.
Yeah. I remember. You had your vest on.
I had my vest on.
Which is pretty sharp looking.
Right, thank you.
You can pull it off. I can't pull a vest off.
But I also had a name, which is my last name that I carry, even higher, that he gave me. You know what I mean? So, and when there's nothing like killing a situation and using kindness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even though I felt it was a racial situation, I felt as a black man, you know, let me show you if there's any stereotype about how a black man is or acts or whatever. Let me show you how just a man is. And then, you know, I am a black man, you know, and let me show you
what proper behavior is.
What proper behavior is. If you're black, if you're white, if you're Asian, it doesn't matter. But at that situation, you stereotype me racially. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll take this even a little bit higher and show you.
So I'm going to bring it back to the military for you. When I was in the Marine Corps, the Marines, and the Marines probably won't even say this today because they think it may be racist to say this, but I thought it was great.
Sure.
We had a drill instructor, Sergeant Glimp.
Okay.
Black dude. He was badass.
Okay.
Mean dude, but fair.
You're giving me a good picture of him.
Yeah. It's hard, you know, just one of those those dudes that can eat shitty all day long and they're still hard and mean. That was Sergeant Glimp.
Yeah.
And he was just like a Marine's Marine.
Yeah.
But this dude says, you know, in my corps, and he meant it when he said my corps, he meant like he owned that he was a United States Marine. Yeah. And to him, there were no colors except dark green and light green.
I know that's right.
Just like and he would say, just like your effing camis.
Yeah.
He goes, there's dark green on there and there's light green on there. And it's so that we can hide from those MFers that want to kill us.
Yeah.
And he set the stage right there in boot camp in our forming platoon that there would be no nonsense of white or black, short or tall, fat or skinny. You were going to survive as a team. And that made us all become like this cohesive unit. And we're talking about dudes from the Deep South, dudes from the Bronx, dudes from California. And you're all there in one little squad bay going, these fuckers want to kill us.
Yeah.
And that's what they made you think early on. And we're like, we got to survive together. And what's interesting about that, it made me think about blood type. Do you know your blood type?
I don't think.
You don't know your blood type, man? Come on.
I think
that's important to know.
It is important to know.
That's all right. I won't. Let's say you're A positive.
I think it's
or A something.
I think it's A something. Yeah.
And I'm O positive, so I'm a universal donor, right? Well, what's interesting about that is that if I needed blood,
Kenny got me think I got to go double check
your
my blood type now. Jesus, I should know this. You make me feel bad.
Would you care if you got blood from a white dude?
No.
If you needed blood and it was meant life or death?
No.
Would you care?
No.
You know, there are some idiots out there who care.
Why?
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Why is it, and let's talk about the race thing for a little bit. Why is
Sure.
it, in your opinion, that people care about the shade of your skin?
It is
From a black man's perspective,
from a black man's perspective.
what do you think in your culture, your race? Why do people care about shade?
I think there has been a systematic way of mental separation,
Okay.
period. And it is hard to shake even after so many years when it was obviously prevalent.
Yeah.
You know, we could just start with, slavery in this country. The mentality.
But Vell, let me take you back to something about slavery for a minute, and
You talked
please
about Irish?
correct.
Yeah.
Please correct me if you think I'm wrong
Sure.
in this. But African men
Sure.
and tribal African men were enslaving their own men before white men enslaved them. Like if you were a tribe in Africa, you were enslaving other tribes by dominating them in war. So if you dominated another tribe, you would take their women. You know, this was how it was done in the day. And it still happens in Africa. Like Jordan lived in South Africa for what, nine years? How many years? 4 years. I was doubling up,
Yeah.
embellishing.
Felt like it.
And there were, Jordan helped me out, they were blacks,
There's black, there's white, and there's colored.
black, white, and colored. And the blacks were the same as the colored in skin shade
And we're talking about where?
in South Africa.
Oh, South Africa.
And then there were whites
What
who
time
were
period are we in?
right now.
Oh, right now. Okay, yeah.
But I was taking you back.
Okay, yeah.
But the correlation I'm drawing.
The first thought I had when you mentioned like tribes, so I think about it. So you have what happens in, let's say, their society or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards like that was just a time, but it wasn't done because they were a different color or different whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That was just how they went about did their things in that tribe,
Yeah.
in that way of tribe or however they live. But it wasn't done because you were just a different race.
Yeah.
That's just how they live. So
Yeah.
to me, it's difficult to make that correlation because we're talking about it was specific at some point that these people were treated directly this way because you were this skin color. This
But that's
they
still
did it
going
to-
on today.
Yeah, it's still going on today. Yeah.
In South Africa,
Sure.
where
But-
there's blacks and then there's coloreds.
But it's-
And that's their community is doing that.
Yeah, but Africa has been was colonized also. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like America. So
Yeah.
the mentality wasn't just in Africa. I mean, in America, it's also,
Yeah.
that the European colonists, they brought that ideology into Africa too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You take like the Rwanda situation,
Yeah.
where how they separated these two people by using similar type of tactics.
Well, it's
you know?
interesting. I've read about how the German army taught some African tribes
Yeah.
how to be more.
And they were the same people.
Yeah. But let me take you back further. And I know you're a Christian, you're a believer. Let's go back to the children of Israel in
Yeah.
Egypt.
Yes.
Egyptians historically are what shade?
Sure. I know.
They're darker, right?
Absolutely.
So they enslaved a race. So slavery has been around since early man. And what's interesting is that I think it just goes back to one, as a Christian, what I call it's just plain sin, right? It's just sinful behavior, human nature, where people are just doing evil to each other. What I love about if we fast forward from biblical times of slavery, from the Egyptians to the Germans to the Americans to colonization, but if we step back, what's cool
Yeah.
is that you and I today
Yeah.
can sit in a room with a mic and as friends talk about some things that are pretty freaking edgy and pretty
Yeah.
tough
They are tough.
and hard to deal with. But if you deal with hard things, you know, that old saying, if iron sharpens iron. This is what I would try to encourage people to do: is sit down with a friend who's different than you, whose shade is lighter or darker than you.
I guess that's why, you know, take for instance, when we talk about a systematic way of thinking, a mentality, right? You mentioned Egypt or Egyptians, right? So often in the school system, when we learn, you learn from Egypt, from a later Egypt.
Yeah.
After it had already been invaded already.
Yeah.
So you see an Egypt that had already been the Greeks have come in, the Persians had come in, all these different, you know, people had came in to Africa. And then, you know, that's what we learn about, you know, Egypt from a certain time period. It's never taught about Egypt before she had been invaded by other people.
Yeah.
So we learn of Egypt from when the Greeks
So
came
you're
in.
saying that the system gets maybe manipulated
Absolutely.
and the story gets told from the lens that that historian is looking
Yeah, because you'll never you know, just take for instance, you'll see a pharaoh from Egypt.
Yeah.
But you'll only see a later pharaoh. You don't see the first pharaoh.
Yeah.
Go look at some of the early first pharaohs. They look like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's my
But then
point,
as
bro.
time went on, but it happens naturally. When you have different people come in, they race mix, they have children, people start looking differently, shade changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll see Egypt and you're like, oh, so everybody's like this lighter tan color, but from his origin.
Yeah. So like King Solomon.
Sure.
King Solomon had a concubine. He had thousands of wives, supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah.
And one of his wives was supposedly Queen, Ethiopian queen.
Nefertiti.
Was it Nefertiti? Can't remember. I may have it wrong. But anyways, he married lots of different races.
Yeah.
And his theory, his strategy was, if I can have queens from different nations, I can create peace. His mentality, it wasn't about a booty call and having maybe it was. You know, most men, you know, we're dogs, right? Yeah. So, you know, he's like, oh, you mean I'm the king and I can have thousands of wives? And that's just 1,000 problems there, right? Sorry, honey, I'm just kidding.
This is a rabbit hole.
We are going down quick.
It went down quick.
Yeah, we're offending black people, white people, women. Who else can we offend today?
I mean, I think the biggest thing, though, maybe we can get out of this conversation is just, you know, do your research a little bit further.
Well, talk.
With things.
And talk without.
Just talk, man.
Yeah, talk it.
Matter.
Like, talk it out. Yeah. And you know what? If you and I agreed on everything, it'd be effing boring.
It'd be boring as heck, man.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and I won't agree with you on everything, from, you know, what football team you like to what basketball team
Raiders,
you like.
Man.
The Raiders, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So, are you like an Oakland guy, or are you a Las Vegas Raiders guy?
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm like L.A. Raiders.
Old school.
Old school Raiders. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And you picked the Raiders. Why?
Football player all my life, and they were just a tough team. I was a running back, and I always loved their running backs, and it was just. And my uncle was a super Raiders fan, and he always got me like all their like paraphernalia and stuff like that. So at a young age, I fell in love with the Raiders, man. Silver and black, man. It's just hard colors.
So my son Jacob, he likes. Well, we can't even call them the Skins anymore.
I know.
So now we're back to this race thing, and
back to the race thing.
I'm like, the Redskins, and you know, and I've got some, Pocahontas.
Yeah.
My 13th grandmother removed.
Yeah.
It's Pocahontas.
Wow, that's amazing.
And my niece, who's a lawyer, she had to do some. She was the one that found this out. So we had this Porter lineage, and we found out we were from Ireland.
Yeah.
Through my father's side of the family. And then as you trickle down, my niece was like, well, no one's ever done the Pendergrass. And, you know, where did the Pendergrasses come from? And, you know, Pendergrasses to Whittids. And I got to tell you, I know some Whittids
Wow.
in Hillsborough, North Carolina,
Wow.
who have the same last name as my great-great-grandfather,
Wow.
and they're black.
Wow. Go figure.
And right?
Yeah.
But my grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather had a plantation.
Wow.
And I went to school with some Whitteds, and they were black.
Wow.
And we got along great.
Didn't know you were related though.
But yeah, right. But I told you, I said, I get Ashley said, you know,
Yeah.
I might be fortunate enough to have some black in me. So.
Yeah, man. That's cool.
What's interesting about today is that, you know, even in sports, you know, we think about football and we think about some of those champions who were early black athletes, and you know, just Jim Brown.
Yeah.
And people forget, man, he was a great football player, but he was an amazing lacrosse player.
Yeah, he was, man.
Which was an Indian sport,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this dude was crushing people.
Yeah.
But, you know, what's interesting about those things is that, like, sports.
You gotta be careful with Kenny. He's like a red guy. You know, you come on a podcast with him, you have to.
You got to be ready for it.
Just being able to be educated a little bit. You know.
But that's the part of it, right? It's expand your horizons, expand your territories.
Yes.
I don't have to be an expert in everything.
No.
I'm an expert in a couple of little small areas in finance.
Sure.
But I want to learn. I want to be a constant learner. I want to learn new things. I want to learn new things from you.
Yeah.
You know, I actually envy when I sit and I watch you cut hair.
I appreciate
I'm like, dude, I wish I could manage a pair of clippers like that.
I appreciate it.
And people think it's easy to cut bald heads.
Nah, it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Kim and, God, man, I'm disrespecting the guy.
Victor.
I'm sorry, Victor.
Yeah.
Kim and Victor spend as much time on my bald head
Absolutely.
as the customer who has a head full of hair.
Absolutely.
Because even in my little hair, I want to fade. I want to edge up.
And you know, it's also the time of importance that you need to put in. You know, so just because you're bald, you know, or you have less hair, you know, it doesn't mean that I have to spend less time on you. I still have to create, you know,
gotta make me
an
look
experience.
good. I need help.
Yeah, I still got to go through all those stages.
You don't have to agree with that so quickly, though.
You got to go through all those stages and make sure someone just had a great experience. So, you know, you just take your time with every client.
Yeah.
Period. This is the time that I have with you, and you know that time that I spend with you, we gonna do it to the max and make sure that
That's awesome.
You just enjoy it. And you know, it's the barbershop you mentioned earlier, but the barbershop and sports, you know, they're those places or those avenues
community.
where the walls have to fall down. You know what I mean? And that was a lot of my idea. You know, when you come in my shop, you see a lot of different people that work for me. You know, either
Korean,
race,
black, white, men,
women. You know, African American, black. You know, it's just, I just wanted to have an environment that represented, you know, the environment. You know, that represented people in our communities. I mean, there's a lot of different people that are around, and then I want everyone to be comfortable. And you know, with this, like some of your two separate places is like the church, and then a lot of times the barbershops. You know, so I wanted to like kill some of that stigma where you know you only go to a black barbershop, and you only go to a white barbershop, or you only go to a black church, and you only go to a white church. You know what I mean? And I just want to
there is a different, you know, I get it. Black people usually cut my bald head better than the little skinny white girl.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
Picking on people. I'm just teasing. Just teasing.
Yeah, I know you're teasing.
But you know, there's like most black dudes back in the day, they would wear their hair like you.
Yeah.
Like it was like tight, man.
Yeah, tight.
Now you choose to be bald?
Yes and no.
It just wouldn't look good if it was.
No, I was thinning in
It'd be
some
like
areas.
LeBron.
Yeah, I was thinning in some areas. I just got it done quick, man. Just like, all right, let's just take it off.
You can pull it off, though. I mean, you and I have big round heads.
I
so
appreciate it.
I haven't got brave enough yet to actually do the razor over the whole thing.
No?
I still have a little bit up there that
Yeah, keep it.
I hold on to.
That's good,
but
man.
you razor your head?
I
You
raise
do it yourself, or
I
you?
do it myself.
Do you ever get the pleasure of letting someone else do it for you?
Yeah, Victor, he shaved. I think last week Victor gave me a shave. He shaved my head twice. So
See, for me, I come to
like
your
that.
shop. It's a relaxed atmosphere,
super relaxed.
very chilled. There's always good music playing.
Always.
And what's cool is that you will play music that is from praise and worship music to hip hop
Yeah,
and everything in between.
yeah,
And I like that because it's,
yeah.
it's something that I don't go in with the expectation of, well, I'm going to go in and it's going to be Run DMC or DMX or,
Yeah,
but it could be Hillsong.
yeah,
And you let your staff
yeah.
kind of pick the mix.
Yeah.
You had a white dude in there who moved to Colorado. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name.
Don't you?
Dang it!
Don't you hate
And
when people,
and I'm on camera and I'm on mic and I'm forgetting.
yeah. So don't you hate when people do that, right? So for a second, I forgot his name only because you were like, "What was his name?" But it was Ross.
Ross.
But that ever happens to you when somebody says to you, like, "I forget that person's name," and then you go blank too. You're like, "Yo, I know this person." Yeah, Ross.
I see his like I remember faces
Yeah,
forever,
Ross.
but as I've aged,
Yeah,
they laugh at me all the time because I mess up clients' names and it's disrespectful, and I don't. But I do it in all confidence. Like, your name might be Vell, and I might say smell or something stupid. It's close, but so far I was like, how did you come up? You got so close, but so wrong.
So there was a trick that I learned. I'm trying to think which book I read, and we'll get into. You said we'll get into books.
Yeah, we're going to talk about.
I forget
books.
what book I read, but a technique that I use that I started to implement was associating. It's how you remember things.
Yeah.
Like you associate like a picture or something to like the person. So to remember Kenny, for example, I would like think what reminds me of a Kenny. And the first thing I think of
South
is
Park.
No, I think of Kenny Rogers because Kenny Rogers had the white beard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
in the way the brain works, now I've attached like a picture to the word Kenny. So I'm more likely to remember your name off of Kenny Rogers because he had this white beard. Because when I see you, it's like white beard, Kenny Rogers. Kenny, that's your name. So that maybe you should use that. Remember,
I'll try to remember.
I would do shows, right?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned like hair shows. So I would do shows. There'd be like, I don't know, 50 people down there, and I'd pick out like 20 people, and I'd go through, and I would show them how I'm going to remember your name by the end of the show. And I was just teaching them some things, like when you're in the salon, the barbershop things, a little trick you can do to remember someone's name because, everybody, what's the Cheers thing?
Right. Everybody knows your name.
Everybody want to go somewhere where everybody knows their name. So remembering someone's name when they come in is like, it just makes a person like feel good. So yeah, you should try that.
I will. Good tip. Thank you.
Vell, Milk Dud.
It was
Let me get this.
Vell milk. I'll never forget.
I don't
Vell.
know. It's a good subject.
Vell, like as I had something there and I just lost it.
So
Man,
even
we
with,
are all screwed
even
up
with
today.
Victor, right? Let's think of some things that will remind you of a Victor.
Victor, things that remind me of. He
He's
does
Spanish?
remind me of the old barbershop dude.
Was
In
his
the-
name Victor?
No, I don't know. I don't remember.
It has to be something. It has to be something with something either
Victor.
called Vic or Victor that will remind
Wasn't there
you.
a boxer whose name was Victor
Victor Chavez.
Chavez?
Vic,
Was it
Was
Chavez?
it Chavez? I'm not sure. But if that's how you remember it, but he
Yeah,
was.
but so I won't forget
he was
Victor's
Spanish.
name.
So
now.
now, even
But I'll call him Chavez when I see him next time.
but you're getting close. I mean, it's still name association. You probably won't forget now, even if that's not the boxer's name, Victor Chavez. You're like, okay, Victor is, he's Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? He's a Spanish, Latino guy.
Oh, Victor in your barbershop's Puerto Rican.
Yeah. So
Okay.
now you have like that association. So you're like, I remember.
So does that
Chavez.
make me racist that I thought he was African American?
Yes. No, I'm just joking. No, it doesn't make you right. Everyone.
So he was born in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
So
Grew up in New York.
grew up in New York.
Yeah.
But does he identify as a
Spanish was his
black
first language.
man or as a Puerto Rican? Because there's like like our housekeepers that have been with us for 20 years, love this family. They're Puerto Rican, but doesn't look like Victor. He looks more Spanish.
Well, it's funny because Victor's father is dark as I am, and his mother is light as you are.
Wow.
So
I feel bad for her.
So he
Sunburns, and she lives in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, she lives in Puerto Rico. So he
sunscreen, please.
He has you identifying him as someone that's black. He gonna be like, okay, yeah, my dad is black.
Yeah.
Because his dad is black. He just speaks a colonized language, which is Spanish.
Oh man, here you go. These mean colonists.
No, I'm joking.
No, but it's We're joking, but we're serious.
Yeah,
I mean, but come on, dude. What happens if the Chinese invade us? Are we all going to become?
Yeah, we'll start
Chinese.
Yeah,
we'll speak Mandarin.
Yeah,
or mainland Chinese.
Eventually.
Which probably wouldn't be bad because I'd like to have a second language.
Eventually, yeah. I mean, that's just how things go.
Did I just offend the Chinese?
I have no idea. Probably.
I'm an equal opportunity offender.
Yeah.
Is the way I like to view myself.
I know you as a person, so I would say to anyone, he wasn't.
Just completely kidding.
Yeah, he was just joking.
I love to have fun with people.
Yeah.
And, I have deformities. Like, there are words that I can't say that come out wrong, and my family jokes crap out of me. I butcher the Queen's English, the colonized English. Yeah. And I mess it up all the time, I spell wrong. I'm really good at math. Don't screw around on my math, but...
It's funny you mentioned Irish because, I don't know if some people know, like, the mountains of West Virginia, sometimes where they think is like this country talk, like the Irish actually settled in those areas. So what you hear, if even some of the West Virginians that are like the real mountainous people, they still have like an Irish type of dialect to their speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some African people that they will do the
yeah,
and that's like language.
Yeah,
right?
It's like language. That's how they speak. Yeah,
and it's
amazing.
Legit.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to learn that.
Yeah.
Because you and I, we see somebody come in the shop, and we could just
we just talk
rough them up.
Did you see it? Why is he bald on the top? Why is he keeping that hair bald on the top? Do you see this? This Kenny Rogers looking guy.
Do you speak another language?
I speak a little Spanish. I was trying to learn
like taco, burrito.
Nah.
Are those Spanish words?
No, those are not Spanish.
Those are Taco Bell words.
Yeah, a little more than that. Try to learn some African languages, Swahili.
Really? Swahili, yeah.
You know what's funny about Swahili? There's some words in Swahili that are the same in Spanish.
Mm.
Now, how that happened?
So Jordan is a really read, well-traveled person. She would be the better person to be up here talking on the mic with. We have to interview you one day.
Now, Swahili is older than Spanish.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Great. Well, I mean,
Well,
history. That's how. I mean, let's go back. Let's talk. We can go back to.
No, let's talk
Bible.
about books now.
We can, so if I can get anytime a guest comes in and like Jordan would do a pre-production, it's like, are there any things you don't want to talk about? And everybody's okay. Let's not get into this critical race theory. Let's not get into race or COVID or.
We said leave marriage alone.
Yeah, at least let's. All right, so we're going for marriage.
No, we're not. No, we're not doing it. We're about to talk about this book.
So if we can go to those places that are uncomfortable, and get comfortable with uncomfortable, that's where, like in the military, one of the things I learned from the Marine Corps is just embrace the suck. Is the old word is all right. We're here. It sucks. What are we going to do now? And you can either whine about it, cry about it, throw a fit. It's still going to suck. So how do we embrace that and move beyond? So marriage, bad things happen.
Yeah, true.
Bad things happen to good people. But how do you take a bad circumstance and just go, hey, we got to improve this? Which I'll let you off the hook a little bit.
It's just like the race thing. You know what I mean? you know, once you move to a point where you know that we're all God's people, right?
Yeah.
So
We're going to be in heaven together, man. What?
at some point you're gonna have to let it go. And that may be touchy to hear, you know,
Yeah.
from a black perspective, you hear somebody black say that, it's like, yo, well, don't forget that you're black. You know what I mean? I don't. You know what I mean? I get reminded going to Harris Teeter. But I also know that we are all the same. Like,
Yeah.
if you cut me open, the blood is going to be the same color.
Well, why shouldn't you forget that you're black? And why shouldn't I forget that I'm white? Because when I'm hanging out with you right now, I don't see a black dude sitting there,
I don't either.
right? So, what about the people?
I don't see
What are
I
y'all
don't see a
laughing at?
white guy.
Sorry, he just said I don't see it either. And I'm like, well, because he's looking at a white guy.
Nah,
That's-
But I just
yeah, I don't.
But I get what
You know, it's funny. Even in our
Just made me laugh.
even in our
My own
in our conversation, I didn't have that feeling. Like, it got a little touchy. We were talking about some history, but
Yeah.
from you, I didn't have like, oh, here's this white guy saying. It was two men talking,
Yeah.
and we were having a conversation. I didn't feel like that from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it shouldn't. You
Well,
know,
some
we should start to get
people,
to that.
again, they come with their own preconceived notion of
Sure.
what the past was like. And the reality of it is that you and I weren't there. I wasn't on the beach of Africa trading with some dude for your ancestors taking their rights away and enslaving them.
Sure.
I own that happened, and I'm regretful and sorry that someone would ever stoop to that level. What's interesting is that it still happens today,
Yeah.
and we call it human trafficking, right?
Yeah.
And there are little girls and men and women who are of all different shades being manipulated for what they can do for someone else. That's just wrong on every level.
And I think from a black person's perspective, you know, not every perspective, but, you know, I was having like that feeling. So you say, like, you own the fact that, you know, of what happened, and I own the fact that it happened to my people. You know what I'm saying? Or people, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then I get reminded of it a lot,
Yeah.
honestly.
Do you think?
And the other way around is, like, I don't know if you get reminded that, you know, your ancestors did that. I get reminded that your ancestors did that to me.
Yeah,
Or those ancestors did that
yeah,
to me. You know what I'm saying?
I would say too. Yeah, I get reminded every day because I'm on social media, and I follow a lot of people who are activists. I follow a lot of people, and I was talking about a lady that was in our old church that I like her as a human being, but man, politics, we go at it, and the politics of critical race theory to racism, because I think every person. I hate the word racist because it then starts defining like the skin shade.
Sure. Yeah.
To me, it's not about the skin shade. I'm prejudiced. I have prejudice towards black people. I have prejudice towards white people.
Yes.
I have prejudice towards Chinese people
Yes.
because of behavior that I see exhibited from a person. I have this preconceived notion that, well, because they just did X, Y, or Z, this is how they're going to behave around me.
I understand.
So
I understand.
it changes my behavior towards them. So I'll give you an example.
I understand the ideology. I got you.
If I was walking down the street of New York
Yes.
and there were 12 black dudes
Yes.
walking towards me and I'm on the same side of the street of them, 12, and they are some tough-looking characters,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What do you think I should do?
Nothing.
Stay on the same side of the street or
Yeah.
move across
No, you should stay on the same side.
and get my ass whooped potentially?
That's
Now I'm going to switch it up on you. What if it was 12
white guy.
Italian dudes?
Yeah.
Big, brawny, you know, let's call them the Hells Angels looking MFers.
Yeah.
I'd go to the other side of the street just because I want to avoid the potential of a situation. Because I've been in those before where I'm like, I am a Marine.
Good. I like that. Yeah.
I'm a Marine, and I can bring it back to the military. As a young recruit, And going through my A school, we'd go down to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. There was always a few Navy fellas. And if it was one Marine, I was by myself, and there was like 10 Navy guys, guess who they're going to pick on? The one jarhead who thinks he's already a badass.
Yeah,
right?
for sure, yeah.
So the smart guy goes, if there's 2 of you, that's a fair fight.
Yeah.
1 against 2. 1 Marine against 2 sailors. Yeah. Fair fight.
Fair fight.
But if there's 10 of you,
Yeah.
I'm probably got some issues.
Yeah.
So I'm going to conflict avoidance. I'm going to move. You fellas, y'all win today.
Yeah.
So it's about reasoning, and I think sometimes people get caught up in the emotion of, Kenny, you just said something really racist. White dude, 12 black guys, and all of a sudden you're like, Kenny, you sound like a,
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. You can burp in the mic, man. This is legit. Just do whatever.
Yeah.
I've even had a little fart over here before, and I think we've picked it up on film. So.
Oh yeah, the mics are good, so you might have picked that.
But the point being is, let's use reasoning. And I think what happens in society a lot of times is that we stop reasoning with each other.
Sure. Yeah.
And the bad things that happened 200 years ago, I can reason how they could easily happen again. Yeah. And so what we have to do is work really hard to not let that happen again.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And how does that work? By being civil with each other. Absolutely. And having a conversation with someone that's different than you.
And that's my goal.
Culturally.
Yeah, that's my goal every day in the barbershop,
And you do it, and you do it well.
barriers.
And that's why I wanted to have you on here, because I knew if there was one person on the planet, I could just unadulterated, keep it real, break some barriers down.
Break those barriers, man. Everyone is the same to me, when they come in that barbershop.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And then that's how I take that with me all the time. That's not an act when I go in the barbershop. And then hopefully that impression that you got, you take some of that with you.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I would treat, let's just say, celebrity came in, or I've had those occurrences where, a person come in, they thought they should get like preferential treatment because they had a lot of money. Or I think about a situation kind of recently happened. The guy came in, he's like, I need a haircut now type thing. And he said like, oh, I'll give you $500 if you let me cut it, you let me cut it now.
Yeah.
And what I said to him? I said, this person has an appointment.
Yeah.
So,
right.
You just
Good
gonna
for
have
you,
to
man.
wait, bro.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at me like, for real? I said, yeah, I'm for real. Because you don't know this guy.
Yeah.
You think your money, you don't know what he
With
has
that
going on.
$500 one time, what did that cost you over
What
your
did that cost
lifetime
you?
in relationship?
Yeah, with this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna choose your $500 over the relationship or this, this person right here. Nah,
That's called tortoise beats hare.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the long game.
It's a long game, yeah.
Yeah. And what's the
Trust me, he's gonna
relationship?
give me way more than $500.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at it as a business. I don't look at it like that. I look at the relationship wise, but still, if you're looking at it from an economical standpoint, like, this one time I'm gonna see your $500. It's not gonna equate to the 20 years.
That's awesome,
or like,
man.
the time that he's, the person religiously comes in, we share these moments, and he gracefully pays me to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you were telling me earlier too. I'm going to let you off the hook a little bit now from this race stuff.
Yeah.
But some fun stuff you're doing now is you're a pretty avid reader too, and you were telling me earlier you're reading a new book.
Yeah.
Dealing with your health, because I paid you a compliment. Last time you're in there, and I was like, dude, you're looking fit now. Some things have changed.
Yeah.
And so this new book you're reading.
Yes.
It's called what?
The Energy Paradox.
And who wrote that?
Dr. Stephen Gundry.
Yeah, he's a pretty popular dude right now, saying some radical things
Really
to get
radical.
people to.
Yeah, because he's like a world-renowned heart surgeon.
Yeah.
And he's going against the grain with, telling people, you just eat better to get better.
Yeah.
Type thing. And he doesn't speak against medicine, but he also says, hey, you got to combat.
No, do me a favor. turn the AC on in here. I am baking in here.
Yeah.
So eating better. So what's the premise of the book?
The premise is so not necessarily eating better. When we talk about energy, he talks about how we eat too much, and we use the concept of, oh, if I'm tired, I need to eat to get energy. When that's the backwards thing to do, because you're actually going to be more tired by eating more. So it's not even his concept. It's like proven data here that the less you eat, kind of, the more energy you'll have. Because your body isn't spending. You spend a lot of natural energy.
What are you eating? What is he saying? Put in your body.
Well, his big thing is just be mindful of things that are high in like lectins. So take for instance like gluten, which a lot of people have gluten
intolerant,
right? But gluten is in a family called lectins. These proteins called lectins, and there's different ones. Just gluten is popular right now, so you have to be mindful of. And these proteins actually, destroy your gut lining. And then you get into the popular term like leaky gut, and from leaky gut. You get all types of like nasty stuff that happens to the body.
And again, I'm no expert in this area, but
Me neither,
the glutens came from, our farming, right, where they modified wheats.
So the glutens come from, all right, so.
But the problem we have with glutens is because they've been genetically modified, right?
No. So this is it. So take like plants, vegetables, look at it like a mother who is pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take let's take an apple.
Okay.
Right? Inside an apple is seeds. So you have to look at this apple is pregnant. So on the outside of this apple is going to do a whole lot of stuff to protect its kids inside of it.
Its future.
Right, to protect. So on the layer, outside the layer of this apple, this thing naturally develops certain things to prevent you from eating it. So if you bite it, you get sick. So certain vegetables, certain plants, and things of that sort create their own toxins on the outer layers that cause you damage. There's some, now, because we're larger than some insects, a lot of plants create their own insecticides. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's where we get into these lectins and glutens found mostly on the outsides of these vegetables and plants that we eat all the time. Now, we're not small like a fly, but if the fly ate it, the fly would die. These natural insecticides that plants and vegetables do.
But that's what I mean.
Time,
aren't scientists now modifying plants? So like when you got to feed 7 billion people on this planet, they've gone in and modified different types of crops to
make them bigger.
Make them bigger, but also protect against insects.
Yes.
And so those modifications
wouldn't make yes, I understand what you're saying. Would make gluten greater in these modifications. Yes.
Yeah, you provided this natural insecticide.
Yes.
But it also changed the molecular structure.
Yeah, so it made it even the natural this natural insecticide that this plant had is now tenfold.
So does he promote like trying to eat more organic foods too?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because at least organic, we're not dealing with a lot of the pesticides that are used to, help the plants grow.
So was this book instrumental in helping you kind of get back on a better regimen of?
Yeah, because right now, so the big thing is, it's not intermittent fasting, it's time-restricted eating. So he's talking about in the book how the body naturally, the body naturally wants to eat fast, eat fast, eat fast.
Yeah,
is how you get the body to work at its highest form. So right now I try to time restrict, eat, not intermittent fast. I don't pay attention to like the amount of time I'm not eating.
Don't eat until 11 a.m.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm paying
at
attention
8
to when I break my fast, breakfast.
Yeah.
And then from the time period where I break my fast, when am I going to have my last meal. So you want to be in like a 6 or 8 hour window there when you allow yourself to eat. You eat what you want, you know.
But give me an idea of what you're eating.
I usually break
Normal
my fast.
day.
I'll break my fast. Here lately, it's been like avocado with like blackberries, and I may throw like a mango or something, something for a little
What's
bit
your
of a sweet.
proteins? Where do you get your protein from?
My protein, I actually like steak, fish.
Yeah. Are you like a Joe Rogan kind of like
No, I'm not like a
elk and
carnivore-ish. No, I'm not like the strictly like meat person. But even talking about the meats is, you know, he also talks about it's not necessarily the meats. You have to be careful on a lot of meat that you do eat. But
You like fish?
it's what the meat ate.
yeah, right.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
so you know, or if you're gonna eat red meat, you should be paying attention to
What was that cow eating?
if they have been grass fed and finished. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So you feed a cow corn and wheat to fatten them up and all that, and then you just eating the same thing.
It's more gluten.
Cows don't
yeah.
eat that naturally; they eat grass. So you know,
Are you a fish guy?
I'm a fish guy. I'm from Virginia Beach.
Yeah, you gotta have some.
Gotta have some
Have you been over to the restaurant down at the beach, Orion's Roof?
I have not been to Orion's
Oh.
Roof yet.
If you love fish, you love sushi.
Yeah, I do. I'm going. We should go.
It's legit. Let's do it. They actually have a lunch.
Yeah.
And we can go over to the they have the sushi bar there and
Let's go.
done.
We should do that.
Are we going today? You gotta
I don't
go
think so.
cut hair.
I
Right?
gotta go cut hair now.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too.
You reading
Well,
anything?
honestly, I'm not hungry yet. I'm not hungry. I'll break my fast maybe around 2:00.
I'd almost say let's go at 2.
And I have crazy energy. Just try it for 2
Really?
days. Yeah. Say, all right, when you wake up in the morning, I'm not gonna eat breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't eat. Have your coffee or whatever, and truly wait until you think you're hungry. Like when your body tells you, I need to eat something.
I'm always hungry.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a true fact, right? No. Hey. And I think I wake up in the middle of the night and eat sometimes.
Yeah.
No, I
Okay,
don't. I really don't. That's so bad for you.
Yeah. But to each his own, man. I'm not that
Yeah.
person either. Not gonna
Yeah.
preach to somebody about what they. I'll share the information because I
Right.
think it'll help people, but I'm not gonna demonize
Yeah, here's
somebody.
the information. Do
Yeah,
with
yeah.
it what you want.
Yeah.
You have a choice.
You have a choice. You know what I mean?
That's the behavior.
At the end of the day, I also believe that just naturally feeling good helps. Also, just good energy just overrides a lot of things.
So you
also.
saw mental clarity, like like a lot of people would talk about brain fog, and
Mm-hmm.
so when you started eating better,
Yeah.
you started having.
Yeah, we have to talk a little bit more about that. How, like, what happens when you eat fast, and you pay attention when the last time you eat, and the time when you sleep, when the brain needs to flush.
Yeah.
Like the body sends blood to the brain and really flushes the brain.
Wow.
So if you don't, if you eat and go to sleep, your body spends all this time digesting food. Blood is all that, and it doesn't go to the places where it needs to go to heal the body while you're sleeping.
Sounds like an interesting read.
Yeah.
We'll put it up on the site
Absolutely.
and let people check it out.
Yeah.
Before we leave today, I do want to spend a little bit of time around entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And man, you survived
Yes.
the pandemic.
Yes.
And we
Thank
came
God.
out on the other side. Yeah, thank God you did. But tell me what it was like in those early days, and what did you do to overcome?
Scary.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like scary, like business, like died. Man,
Just
I was
went away.
Went away, bro.
Yeah.
Gone.
And people got okay with having fuzzy heads.
Yeah,
and
especially in my industry. It
Yeah.
died, yo. It was scary. I did a little thing where I tried to do create like a virtual barbershop where I had customers come in and we still communicated. So I thought of a way we can just keep, relationship with the clients while
Yeah.
we aren't. So I called customers, make sure they were all right, just checked on people, and it was tough, bro.
You
Tough.
stayed in community with people, and that's one thing. We talked a couple of times
we
through
did.
that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome, and I thought it was a great business move that you just You didn't look at your clients as just a number, as just revenue. You actually care about the people that you're in relationship with in business. And I think if there's a takeaway for a business owner, it's do well by doing good.
Do well by doing good. All the time, man.
Yeah.
All the time. You save money on advertisement.
Isn't it real? That's for real.
Let the people advertise for you.
Yeah. I've told lots and lots of people, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show, show you some love, and KingCuts.
KingCuts, Virginia Beach. I appreciate it.
Yes.
We're there 7 days a week. You can visit KingCutsVA.com, KingCutsVA.com. Book your appointment. We're on time.
Pick your barber.
Pick your barber.
You should let Vell at least have one time at your head.
Yeah.
The experience. You have like your own kingdom back there.
It's not that serious.
Yeah. You might even get a little beverage back there if you go see Vell.
You might.
So,
I keep a stock bar.
Yeah.
Right
You got any Blue Label back there?
I don't, but I will now.
Look, that's an experience, man. If you go there and get a little shot with Vell for, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, I want to respect your client that you've got an appointment with.
Thank you so much.
Dude, thanks for coming on
Man, I had
and
a
being
great time, man.
being just real and open and sharing. I think it's important if you can learn anything from what we have in our friendship. It's you can be different, but still be brothers.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, man.
That's all that matters, man. I appreciate you.
Good. I didn't give you a real shake. Come on.
That's what I'm talking
Your
about.
big old hand
Thank
just
you.
crushed me there.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry.
And my arm still hurts. Thanks for hurting me. But for being on the show, we're going to give you
the black box.
the black box.
I survived.
You
Did I
survived.
survive the black box?
You did.
Yes.
You crushed it.
I survived the black box.
And we got a medium for you.
Oh, you got a medium for me?
Because you're big. Your big muscles.
I appreciate
That's
that.
a large. If you want
That's a
a
large.
different size.
No, this is cool.
Well, large is probably medium for you.
This is good size. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Wear it proudly. You
I
did,
will.
You did us justice, man. You did us right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Love you, man.
Love you too, man.
Peace.
We should say that more. Just to people.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with telling somebody you love them.
Right.
Tell a guy
It
you
ain't
love
like
him.
I want to get busy with
I
you,
know,
man.
man. Love you, man.
Yeah, I love you.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right.
Podcast.
All right.
End
And
it
I
on
love
that.
everybody out there, man. Peace out.
See ya.
Yeah.